The frost had settled into my marrow, an old friend since I'd made my decision. Not the winter air, though the pines outside my bedroom window sagged beneath fresh snow, their branches bowed like mourners at a funeral. No, this cold came from deeper, a prophecy of the war ahead. My 20th year had arrived without fanfare, leaving behind no gifts, only a brutal clarity. If I didn't flee today, I never would. Ash Hollow clung to the mountainside like a secret too shameful to speak aloud, its narrow streets and weathered cabins a prison disguised as home. Opportunity? That word belonged to other people, to those whose lives weren't smothered by ancestral obligation. You're absolutely certain about this, Mara? Faye's voice trembled as she smoothed the woolen scarf I'd chosen for the journey. Her fingers, usually steady as a surgeon's, snagged on the fibers. I forced a fragile smile. What choice remains? Another year pulling weeds in Mama's garden, enduring her sermons about family honor. My voice, once bright as mountain streams, had learned the flat cadence of captivity. I need more, Faye. I need existence. She stilled, meeting my gaze in the foggy glass. Her eyes, normally alight with mischief, swam with an unfamiliar sorrow. Existence can be merciless beyond these walls. The city isn't all promise and possibility. Merciless beats motionless, I shot back, the words harsher than intended. Regret flooded me instantly. Faye was my lighthouse, the sole soul who comprehended the crushing weight of my mother's demands. Forgive me. It's just, I'm drowning here. She nodded, a quiet understanding passing between us. Promise me caution. The world beyond, it reshapes people. She lifted a small, black and silver locket from the dresser, its chain catching the gray morning light. Take this. For fortune. It belonged to my grandmother. I closed my hand around it, the metals chill a strange anchor against my palm. Thank you, Faye. No one could ask for truer kin. I drew her close, breathing in her scent of sage and parchment that clung to her like perfume. I'll send word. Every week. You'd better, she murmured into my shoulder, her voice thick with unshed tears. Or I'll hunt you down and drag you back by that stubborn braid. A sudden, violent pounding shattered the morning quiet, rattling the window panes. My breath caught. Too early for visitors. My mother, Alara, rose with the dawn, but she never announced herself. Faye's grip tightened. Cade? I shook my head, dread coiling in my gut. Impossible. Not after. The memory of our last encounter 2 nights ago hung between us, his final words still echoing. You're destroying everything, Mara. Everything. The pounding came again, deeper now, accompanied by a rumble that vibrated through the floorboards, not quite human. Ice flooded my veins. What is that? Faye whispered. Before I could respond, the front door exploded inward in a shower of splinters. My mother's scream tore through the house, a sound I'd only heard once before, when a rabid wolf had cornered her goats. Mama! I cried, hurtling from the room with Faye at my heels. The scene in the main room froze my blood. The door lay in ruins, reduced to kindling. My mother sprawled on the pine floor, hands clutching her temples, face drained of color. Towering over her, framed against the weak light, stood a being I'd only encountered in whispered legends around dying fires. It stood nearly 12 feet tall, its frame covered in coarse, charcoal-colored fur that seemed to absorb light. Its eyes burned with an uncanny amber radiance, fixing on me with predatory intelligence. A continuous growl resonated from its chest, making the air itself shiver. Its snout elongated and narrow housed teeth like shattered glass, and from its brow sprouted 2 massive, twisting horns of petrified wood. This was no mere beast. This was a forest warden, a Bram, protector of the ancient timberland that bordered our property, believed extinct by time and disbelief. Stay back, Mara, my mother shrieked, terror shredding her voice. It's the debt come due. The Bram didn't attack her. It guarded her, positioning itself between us. Its gaze, ancient and terrifying, never left my face. This wasn't assault. It was enforcement. What do you want? I managed, my voice barely audible. My limbs felt weighted, yet a peculiar defiance sparked within. I wouldn't bow. The creature tilted its head, a disturbingly human gesture. A rumbling sound emerged, inquisitive rather than aggressive. Then it raised a paw the size of a dinner plate, not to strike, but to point. Not at me, but at the leather-bound tome that had tumbled from my mother's grasp. Faye, ever pragmatic, darted forward and retrieved it. Alara, what is this? My mother scrambled upright, her eyes wild with desperation. Don't touch it. It's nothing. But the Bram issued another growl, nudging the book with its snout, urging Faye to open it. She hesitated, then flipped the cover with trembling hands. Her expression cycled through confusion, shock, then revulsion. Mara, you have to read this. I took the book. The handwriting belonged to my mother, but the language, encrypted symbols and cryptic phrasing, spoke of secrets buried beneath ordinary life. It was a chronicle, a meticulous record of strange phenomena, ceremonies, and a covenant. My eyes devoured fragments as I flipped pages. The eldest daughter, upon her 20th winter, must reaffirm the binding, or the forest reclaims its gift. The lineage is marked, an offering to hold back the rot. The Bram watches, awaiting payment of the ancient debt. A frigid terror pierced my soul, colder than any mountain wind. Mama, I whispered, the words tasting like ash. What is this? What covenant? Alara turned away, shoulders convulsing. It was for your preservation, Mara. For all of us. The Bram barked sharply, its amber eyes blazing. It moved, planting itself before the ruined door, blocking escape. Not just a guardian, a warden in the truest sense. Preservation. A bitter laugh escaped me. By chaining me to some primordial obligation? What did you trade, Mama? What did you forfeit? She spun, her face a mask of fear and fury. You think I chose this? The blight was upon us. Crops turned to dust, livestock perished. Your father, he was fading. Her voice climbed to hysteria. They offered salvation, a way to save him, to save us all. They demanded the eldest daughter, in her prime, bear the cost. A warden would enforce it. A Bram. My world tilted. My father, who died of a mysterious wasting illness when I was a child. My mother's obsessive protection of the forest beyond our pasture, forbidding me ever to wander deep. Our garden's unnatural abundance while neighboring farms failed. The pieces assembled into a monstrous picture. So my leaving, it voided the covenant? The realization struck like a physical wound. The Bram threw back its head and loosed a mournful howl that shook the clearing around our cabin. Not a threat, a dirge, a warning. Yes, Alara sobbed, tears carving rivers through the dust on her cheeks. You were supposed to remain. To care for the sacred grove, to perform the rite. Now the decay returns. It will devour everything. Faye, who'd remained silent, finally spoke with unexpected steadiness. What right, Alara? What does the book demand? She indicated a passage I hadn't reached. The heart of the eldest, given freely, shall restore the bond. One existence for another, one spirit for the soil. The words hung like a noose. Given freely. My existence for the soil. For their soil. No, I whispered, my head shaking violently. I refuse. I won't be slaughtered. The Bram stepped closer, its amber eyes boring into mine. Comprehension flickered there. This wasn't a mindless monster, it was an executor. It expected fulfillment. There's always another interpretation, Faye insisted, her gaze dancing between me, Alara, and the creature. A loophole. A different tribute. Alara made a sound like shattering pottery. There is none. The Bram ensures it. This is immutable. Generations of our bloodline imprisoned by this truth. Generations. The horror deepened. You mean, my forebears were also killed? Alara flinched, refusing to meet my eyes. Not all. Only those who defied, who attempted escape. The rest, they accepted their purpose. Her voice held a sick reverence. Cold fury erupted in my chest, overriding terror. Accepted? You call this acceptance? This is imprisonment by archaic sorcery. I clutched Faye's locket, its coolness a stark contrast to the fire consuming me. The back door creaked open. Cade stood there, face pale as fresh snow, eyes wide with alarm. He must have heard the commotion. Mara? What's happening? He absorbed the shattered door, my mother's tear-stained face, the imposing Bram, and me clutching the damning book. His gaze settled on the creature, fear and protective rage warring in his expression. "Cade, leave!" I shouted, my voice raw with panic. "You aren't safe." He ignored me, stepping further inside. "What is that thing? What did you do to Alara?" His normally calm voice vibrated with fury. The Bram shifted, its attention now split between me and this new intrusion. A warning growl rumbled low in its chest. "He has no part in this," I pleaded, moving to shield Cade. "He doesn't understand." "He understands perfectly," Alara interjected, her voice suddenly steely, almost detached. "He knows you were meant to stay, Mara. Meant to fulfill your purpose." Her reddened eyes held an unyielding conviction. Cade's gaze locked with mine, questioning, lost. "Purpose? What is she saying?" "Mama forged a covenant," I explained, my voice flat, emotionless. "To preserve our family, our land. The price?" "My life, at 25, offered to the forest." Cade's jaw slackened. He stared at Alara, then the Bram, then back at me, disbelief and horror wrestling across his features. "That's madness. Alara, you cannot mean this." Alara's eyes narrowed. "It is reality, Cade. It has always been reality. Our family has been custodians of this agreement for centuries. The land flourishes because of our offerings. An offering you concealed from me." I erupted, my voice fracturing. "You raised me knowing this? Knowing you were preparing me for butchery." "It served the greater good, Mara," she wailed, desperation cracking her facade. "For the continuation of our line, our home. Do you imagine I desired this for you? But the alternative, the rot, the starvation, the anguish, it was unthinkable." The Bram barked once, sharp and impatient, as if weary of human drama. It advanced another step, its massive head lowering, its amber gaze fixed on the locket in my grasp. It seemed drawn to it. "What's it fixated on?" Cade asked, his hand drifting toward his pocket where he kept his skinning knife. "The locket," Faye murmured, her own eyes tracking the creature's focus. "My grandmother's. She claimed it was a family heirloom, passed through matriarchs. Said it repelled malevolence." "Malevolence?" I scoffed. "Or perhaps it's a key to something more." I studied the locket closely. Beyond the tarnish, intricate glyphs encircled its surface, pulsing faintly in time with the Bram's ethereal glow. The creature lowered its head further, its snout nearly brushing the locket. It emitted a soft, almost purring vibration, then nudged my hand toward the book. It wanted me to read more. I flipped to the final pages, where the script transformed, becoming archaic, nearly faded. There, amid ramblings of covenants and offerings, lay a crude illustration. It showed a similar locket, luminous, held high by a figure before a twisted, primordial tree. Beside the tree, a Bram knelt in submission. "The locket, it's integral to the rite," I whispered, a new hypothesis forming. "But not as the offering. As a channel." "A channel for what?" Cade pressed, his voice still taut, but a fragment of hope emerging. "For the genuine tribute," Faye supplied, her finger tracing a particularly complex glyph on the locket's surface. "It reads, 'The heart of the eldest, not surrendered in blood, but in verity. The binding restored through sincere vow, illuminated by ancestral flame.'" Alara gasped, her face draining of what little color remained. "No, that's the discarded passage. Blasphemy. It speaks of defying the traditional offering." The Bram released a profound, resonant growl, its amber gaze now pinning Alara. It disagreed. It wanted me to follow the locket's path. "What does it mean, heart and verity?" I demanded, defiance crystallizing into determination. "I would not be a victim." Faye continued reading from the book, her voice strengthening. "It says, 'Our family's actual calling was never bloodshed, but balance. To safeguard the forest, not through terror, but comprehension. The offering was meant as dedication, a pledge of guardianship, not a life stolen.'" Alara shook her head violently. "Deceit. It's a snare. The ancient ways are the only ways." "The ancient ways brought this being to our threshold, Mama," I countered, my voice unwavering. The ancient ways kept you silent, kept me ignorant, kept us all in shackles of terror. If this locket, if this verity can alter our fate, then I choose it. I addressed the Bram directly. Its amber eyes held timeless wisdom, expectation. It wasn't evil. It awaited my choice. What must I do? I asked the creature, raising the locket. The Bram dipped its head, then gestured with its muzzle toward the ruined door, indicating the world outside. It wanted me to enter the forest. No, Alara shrieked, lunging to block my path. You cannot. The corruption will claim you. But the Bram issued a warning growl, gently but firmly pushing her aside. The message was absolute. I had to go. I'm accompanying her, Cade declared, moving to my side. He drew his knife, the blade catching the light. And I, Faye added, her face pale but resolute. She clutched the book like a shield. We need to comprehend this. I looked at them, my heart swelling with gratitude so intense it blurred my vision. Thank you. The Bram led us, its massive form impossibly graceful, along a path that quickly dissolved into untamed wilderness. The air grew frigid, the light dimmed despite the climbing sun. These trees were primordial, their branches gnarled and draped with moss like funeral shrouds. This was the territory my mother had always forbidden. After an eternity of trekking, the Bram halted at a clearing. At its center rose a colossal sequoia, its trunk broader than our cottage, its branches clawing at the heavens. Bioluminescent mushrooms cast an otherworldly glow around its base. This was the hallowed grove. The Bram turned to me, its amber gaze intense. It nudged the locket, then the tree. It wants me to touch the tree with this, I interpreted, voice hushed. Be vigilant, Mara, Cade cautioned, his hand on my shoulder. Faye, scanning the book, found another passage. Speak your verity to the forest's core. Pledge your devotion, not your vitae. Ancestral flame shall illuminate the path. I drew a breath that tasted of pine and ancient earth. I approached the sequoia, the ground spongy beneath my boots. The tree thrummed with living energy, a heartbeat of root and bark. I raised the locket, its silver now emanating an inner glow that mirrored the fungi. I pressed the locket against the ridged bark. A surge, not pain, but pure, raw power, coursed through my veins. Visions assaulted me, women across generations, my ancestors, standing before this same tree, some weeping, some resigned, some defiant. I saw the blight, the withered fields, the terror in their eyes. Then I saw renewal, the forest bursting with life, equilibrium restored. I comprehend, I whispered, my voice carrying through the silent grove. I comprehend the terror, the burden. But I refuse blood sacrifice. I offer my verity, my vow. I looked at the locket, the Bram, Cade and Faye waiting at the clearing's edge. I vow to protect this land, to learn its secrets, to nurture its life, not from fear, but devotion. I will be its steward, its shield, not its casualty. As I spoke, the locket blazed brighter, glyphs dancing across its surface. The ancient sequoia shuddered, and from its heart a warm, golden radiance spilled forth, washing over me, the Bram, Cade and Faye. It was warmth, comfort, timelessness. The Bram released a soft whine of satisfaction. Its amber eyes, once fierce, softened to something near gentle. It bowed its massive head in acceptance. Suddenly, Alara burst into the clearing, her face tear-ravaged, eyes wide. She must have trailed us. Mara, what have you wrought? She beheld the golden light, the Bram's submission, the peace on my face. Her terror dissolved, replaced by dawning understanding, then wonder. She collapsed to her knees, weeping with relief. The authentic right, she whispered. It existed. We simply forgot. The golden light receded, leaving the grove bathed in natural luminescence. The air felt lighter, purer. The tension that had defined my existence evaporated like morning fog. I returned to Cade and Faye, calm descending over me. Cade crushed me in an embrace. I was terrified, Mara, he murmured into my hair. So was I admitted, voice thick. But it's finished. Truly finished. Faye, still clutching the book, smiled radiantly. You did it, Mara. You shattered the cycle. You discovered the genuine truth. Alara rose slowly, her gaze fixed on the ancient sequoia. All these years, she whispered, voice heavy with regret. All the terror, the silence. I believed I was shielding you. I believed I was honoring the covenant. Instead, I perpetuated falsehood. She looked at me, eyes brimming with humility. Can you forgive me? I went to her, taking her trembling hands. It's over, Mama. We were all imprisoned by terror. But now we can learn. Together. The Bram, now a benign sentinel, turned and padded deeper into the forest. It wasn't abandoning us. It was resuming its true purpose, guardian, not jailer. So what now? Cade asked, looking from me to the forest to Alara. I gazed at the ancient sequoia, at the vibrant, breathing wilderness around us. My dream of escape, of discovering opportunity, still burned, but transformed. The opportunities weren't merely out there in distant cities. They were here, in understanding this land, in rediscovering its enchantment, in building a new legacy. Now, I said, a genuine, unburdened smile blooming, we learn. We learn the forest's authentic ways. We restore equilibrium. And, perhaps, we can demonstrate that life means more than taking. It means giving. Comprehending. Loving. Faye grinned. Sounds like a far grander adventure than mere escape. Cade squeezed my hand. Wherever you go, whatever you become, I'm beside you, Mara. Always. Alara, for the first time in memory, looked at me not with fear or expectation, but with pride. My daughter, she said softly, you've truly discovered your purpose. The path forward was no longer about flight, but construction. Not about abandoning home, but reimagining it. The forest, once a realm of dread, now promised wonder and calling. My life, once governed by hidden covenants, now belonged to me, guided by a heart of verity, surrounded by love from those who chose to stand with me. The old existence, the old terrors were dead. A new, luminous chapter had begun. And the Bram, somewhere in the ancient depths, watched over us all, a silent, formidable ally in our renewed devotion to the land.